Hello and welcome to Health and Life with Coach Natalie, where we spread love, light, and knowledge. Today we are discussing attachment styles, how this plays out in childhood, and how this affects our relationships in adulthood. We will also discuss how to detach, repercussions of detaching, and whether detachment means you have to leave the relationship. First, let's talk about the different attachment styles. Attachment styles play a pivotal role in shaping our relationships, and one of the most common ones is anxious attachment. This style often stems from past experiences and can have a significant impact on our interactions with others. Today, we'll delve into what anxious attachment is, its causes, how it can harm relationships, and most importantly, how to address it by practicing healthy detachment. According to the attachment theory put forth by British psychologist John Bowlby, the quality of care received during the infancy, including sensitivity and response to a child's signals, affects the nature of an individual's attachment later on in life. The expectations of parents and other attachment figures and their ideas influence the internal working model, which is a person's mental representation of himself or herself and others. Psychologist Mary Ainsworth's research with children supported this claim by proposing 3 distinct attachment patterns: secure, anxious avoidant, and anxious ambivalent. Securely attached children perceive themselves as confident that their caregivers can meet their needs. They feel comfortable exploring new surroundings, and they have trust in other people. Anxious avoidant children perceive their caregiver as indifferent and insensitive, so they tend not to show distress to avoid dealing with the rejection of the caregiver. Anxious ambivalent children are used to caregivers who are usually inconsistent and unpredictable. They learn to believe that the only way to elicit care and proximity is to exaggerate their expression of discomfort. They tend to become extremely agitated when separated from their caregivers and show difficulty moving away from them to explore new surroundings. Most people fall in the anxious avoidant category. Anxiously attached individuals tend to experience more intense negative emotions and reactions, such as ruminating and downplaying and dismissing positive life events and experience. How does this play out later in life? Research suggests that these early attachment patterns have lasting implications for an individual's emotional and social development. Securely attached individuals tend to have healthier relationships, better self-esteem, and more effective emotional regulation. Anxious ambivalent individuals might struggle with dependency and self-doubt, and anxious avoidant individuals might find it challenging to fully engage emotionally in relationships. Consistent and emotionally attuned caregiving fosters the development of a secure attachment, while inconsistent or neglectful caregiving can lead to insecure attachment styles. How does anxious attachment affect relationships in adulthood? Ainsworth's research laid the foundation for understanding that attachment patterns established in infancy can continue into adulthood. This means that individuals who were securely attached as children are more likely to have secure attachment patterns in their adult relationships, while those with insecure attachment may carry similar patterns into their adult interactions. Anxious attachment behaviors can significantly harm and even destroy relationships due to the inherent challenges they pose. Here's how these behaviors can have a negative impact. Excessive need for reassurance. Anxious attachment individuals often seek constant reassurance and validation from their partner. This can lead to emotional exhaustion for both parties, as the anxious person's insatiable need for affirmation can feel overwhelming and suffocating. Overwhelming emotional intensity. Anxious attachment can lead to intense emotional reactions, even to minor triggers. This emotional roller coaster can be exhausting for the partner, who may struggle to keep up with the rapid shifts in mood and emotional demands. Insecurity and jealousy. Anxious individuals may become highly suspicious or jealous in response to perceived threats to the relationship. This can erode trust and lead to misunderstandings, as partners feel accused and mistrusted without cause. Fear of abandonment. A core aspect of anxious attachment is the fear of abandonment. This fear can drive behaviors such as clinginess, possessiveness, and constant monitoring of the partner's actions. These behaviors can create an environment of pressure and control, pushing the partner away. Communication challenges. Anxious attachment individuals may struggle with effective communication. They might find it difficult to express their needs and fears clearly, leading to misunderstandings and a lack of healthy dialogue. Dependency. Anxious attachment can result in a high level of emotional dependency on the partner. This dependency can hinder personal growth and self-esteem, as the anxious person relies heavily on their partner for their emotional well-being. Push-pull dynamics. Anxious attachment individuals may engage in push-pull dynamics, where they oscillate between seeking closeness and creating distance. This inconsistency can create confusion for the partner and disrupt the stability of the relationship. Emotional burnout. Partners of anxious individuals may feel drained from the constant need to provide reassurance and emotional support. This can lead to resentment and an eventual breakdown in the relationship's emotional connection. Lack of autonomy. Anxious attachment behaviors can hinder the partner's sense of autonomy and personal space. The anxious person's intense need for closeness can make it challenging for their partner to maintain individual interests and friendships. Cycle of negativity over time. these destructive behaviors can create a cycle of negativity. The anxious person's fears and insecurities can become self-fulfilling prophecies as their behaviors strain the relationship, potentially leading to the very abandonment they fear. In order to foster healthy and fulfilling relationships, individuals with anxious attachment styles need to work on building self-awareness, addressing their underlying fears, and developing healthier coping mechanisms. Professional therapy can be highly beneficial in understanding and managing anxious attachment behaviors and their impact on relationships. How do you start to detach in these relationships? Starting to detach in a relationship, especially if you're dealing with anxious attachment tendencies, can be a healthy step towards creating a more balanced and fulfilling dynamic. Here's how you can begin. Self-awareness: recognize and acknowledge your attachment style and its impact on your behavior. Understand that while seeking closeness and reassurance is natural, excessive dependency can strain relationships. Mindfulness: practice being mindful of your thoughts and emotions. When you notice anxious thoughts or the impulse to seek constant validation, take a moment to pause and observe without judgment. Embrace self-care. Focus on nurturing your own well-being. Engage in activities that make you feel happy and fulfilled independently of your relationship. This not only boosts your self-esteem but also gives you a healthier source of happiness. Build a support system. Cultivate a network of friends and interests outside of your relationship. Having a diverse social circle can reduce dependency on a single person for emotional support. Set boundaries. Establish healthy boundaries in your relationship. Communicate openly with your partner about your needs and concerns, and work together to define what is comfortable for both of you. Communication skills. Improve your communication skills to express your feelings and needs effectively. This helps prevent misunderstandings and allows your partner to understand your perspective. Practice patience. Detaching doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience. Celebrate small victories and be forgiving of yourself when you slip into old patterns. Therapeutic support. Consider seeking therapy, especially if your anxious attachment behaviors are causing significant distress. A therapist can help you navigate your emotions, identify triggers, and provide tools to manage them. Are there any repercussions for detaching? Repercussions of detaching can vary, and it's important to approach the process with care. Initial discomfort. Detaching can initially trigger discomfort and anxiety, especially if you're used to seeking constant reassurance. You might feel uncertain or even guilty about stepping back. Resistance from partner. Your partner might feel confused or even resistant to the changes in your behavior. They might be accustomed to your previous patterns and might not fully understand your motivations. Temporary distance. As you detach, you might experience a temporary decrease in the level of emotional closeness you're used to. This is a natural part of the process as you strive for a healthier balance. Improved relationships. Over time, the detachment process can lead to improved relationships. Your partner might appreciate your increased independence and the healthier dynamic it creates. Personal growth. Detaching allows you to focus on your personal growth and self-discovery. It enables you to develop a stronger sense of self and become less reliant on external validation. Remember, detaching is about finding a balance that allows you to maintain your individuality while still fostering a meaningful connection with your partner. It's a journey that requires self-reflection, patience, and a commitment to personal growth. Detaching does not always mean separating. Although there are cases where individuals with anxious attachment styles might find it necessary to separate or take a break from a relationship. While every situation is unique, there are certain scenarios where the challenges posed by anxious attachment behaviors can make it difficult to maintain a healthy and functional relationship. Unresolved insecurities. If an individual's anxious attachment behaviors are deeply rooted in unresolved insecurities or traumas, it might be beneficial for them to focus on personal healing and growth before attempting to navigate a romantic relationship. Codependency. Anxious attachment can sometimes lead to codependent dynamics where one partner becomes overly reliant on the other for emotional well-being. If this dependency becomes too imbalanced, it might be necessary to step back and address these patterns individually. Continuous strain. When anxious attachment behaviors consistently lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and emotional distress within the relationship, it might be necessary to consider whether the dynamic is sustainable in the long term. Lack of personal growth. If an individual's attachment behaviors prevent them from pursuing personal interests, goals, and growth, it can lead to stagnation. In such cases, separating might allow both individuals to focus on their individual development. Partners' well-being. Sometimes an individual with anxious attachment might recognize that their behaviors are negatively affecting their partner's mental and emotional well-being. In such cases, they might decide to separate to give their partner the space they need. The idea in these situations is refocusing on self-care. Anxious individuals might choose to separate temporarily to prioritize their own mental health and well-being. This break can provide the opportunity to work on self-care, therapy, and personal growth. Personal exploration. A separation might allow an individual to explore their own identity and interests outside of the relationship, which can lead to personal clarity and growth. It's important to note that while separation can be a valid choice in certain circumstances, it's not the only option. Many individuals with anxious attachment styles find success in addressing their behaviors through therapy, open communication with their partner, and a commitment to personal growth. Whether separation is the right choice depends on the specific context of the relationship and the willingness of both individuals to work on their own issues and the relationship dynamics. In conclusion, it's important to remember that although a relationship forms a union, each person within the union is an individual person. Therefore, personal growth should be a priority that allows you to grow together. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so that you are notified every time I post new content. Until next time, I am sending you love, light, and knowledge. Spread the wealth.